Hello, everybody, and welcome to Movie Reel and happy holidays. I'm Samantha Tomlinson.
And I'm Kevin Tracy, and I am so excited to be talking about this episode. But before that, if you want to give us a like, follow, subscribe, you can follow us on pretty much every major platform that supports any type of podcast, and leave a suggestion for your next episode, and we'll be sure to cover that. But this week's episode, we're going to be talking about some non-traditional Christmas movies that kind of fit an interesting niche this month. Sam, why don't you take it from there?
So, back it up a little. We were talking about what should we do for December, and you know, I think we wanted to stick to kind of a general theme, and we stumbled upon Kevin, as you said, non-traditional Christmas movies because there's like, I mean, I don't want to get into it completely, but you know, there's plenty of movies out there where Christmas is just in the background, and there's plenty where Christmas is a major part of the movie, but it's not like your standard, like, oh, magic and gift giving. It's a little
Yeah, yeah,
more off base.
yeah. It's not. This isn't like these are movies that you traditionally wouldn't like watch with like grandma while making gingerbread cookies or gingerbread houses or stuff
I
like
would
that.
say today, I would say this is definitely a Christmas movie, though.
Oh, 100%.
I would say 100 because Christmas, it would not make sense without Christmas.
Yeah,
If the movie
especially
can happen without Christmas, then to me that's not really a Christmas movie.
yeah.
Um, I
Yeah, but with
yeah,
a movie of the title called Santa's Sleigh, I feel like Christmas needs to be a kind of a pivotal point in the story.
and it's funny because it sounds like sleigh, like what he rides, but actually it's sleigh like murder.
How delightful. Fun for the whole family.
That's what it says on the back of the DVD. Delightful. No, actually, what would it say on the back? It would be
No,
like,
it's the tagline is spreading holiday fear.
which Santa says the tagline in the movie.
Yep.
Which is, I was like,
Just spread.
I don't think I realized that was the tagline, but thinking back now, I'm like, how many times have I heard the tagline of a movie in the movie?
Probably more than you'd think.
Probably, but like this, again, not knowing it was the tagline, I feel like I would have been like, hey, I think if they said Santa's sleigh, I would have been they made some comment calling it Santa's slaying everybody. I would have been like, ha, but they never once said the title, but
No,
they did say the
I don't
tagline.
even think they ever said the word sleigh
They did not.
other than an actual sleigh, like
They did not.
the cart. Yeah.
So yeah, we're talking about Santa's sleigh.
Yeah. Let's just kind of jump right into it with the opening scene of this movie, which is a star-studded cast. And I actually recently found out that the director of this movie wanted to do something similar to Scream that had a star-studded opening cast, like Scream, which had like Drew Barrymore in it, and have it kind of psych you out thinking like, oh, she's like a really like high paid actress, so she's clearly in the rest of this movie. No, we're axing her off in like the opening scene, and they do the exact same thing with this with Fran Drescher, Chris Kattan, and James Caan, a couple other actors, and it is
James Caan. That was so bizarre.
it
And
was yeah it you would never think that any of these actors would be in a movie called Santa's Sleigh and would be willing to like, yeah, I'll get murdered for 5 minutes in this movie. It's like, what?
I was thinking this is 2005, which first of all, this movie, just the way it was shot and lit, it looks like it could be a Disney Channel movie. It
It
does not look like a horror movie, it's consistent throughout. So it's which is kind of I found hilarious. It did not at all look like it would be a horror movie. It looked like it would have been like a kids movie. But anyway, when like James Caan, this is a couple years after Elf, which for some reason I found just hilarious. Like, because Elf is a pretty timely Christmas movie that everybody
yeah,
watches, and the fact that for some reason a couple years later he was in this this movie for like 5 minutes before he's murdered.
seriously, it was it was like 2 years after Elf. Elf came in
Yeah,
2003. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, no, it was just really funny because watching the movie, you're thinking like, oh, like maybe like it's going to be someone related to this family is going to be like the main character. No, it's just a completely random occurrence of Santa just murdering this, albeit a horrible family. Like these are all horrible people.
They're all
like like
terrible
like
people.
none of them are worth rooting for. Like none of them have like a shred of like anything like worth rooting for. Like the wife of like Chris Kattan is like a nosy nag. He's like shamelessly like cheating on her with Fran Drescher, who is reciprocating that and cheating on James Caan. And James Caan is just an asshole, and the two daughters are just kind of like, you know, prissy kind of
There.
yeah, well, they're there, but they're also like, I remember one of them gives like a says like a prayer. It's like, oh, it's like, thank you God for not making us poor and making the middle class work harder to make us richer. It's like, okay, you are all horrible.
They're hoping, they're like, we better get a Kate Spade bag this year.
Yeah, like
Like, it's like, okay. I will say Fran Drescher, I've never been a huge fan of Fran Drescher. Like, it's really nothing personal. I never watched The Nanny. Like, I know some people that like love it, and
yeah,
her
I never
voice often bothers me, and this time it did not. And I don't know if it's like she plays it up
yeah.
often or
Well,
what, but her voice was like still her voice, but it was toned down a
well,
little bit.
when I first watched this, I didn't realize that that was Fran Drescher until after the movie or like on my second viewing. But yeah, the opening scene, just Santa just busts through the chimney and like drop kicks his Pomeranian into a ceiling fan. It's like, oh, we're not even waiting. This movie's just going off the rails right off the bat, and it is hilarious. It hits you with both barrels within the first 2 minutes of this movie, just kind of setting the tone for the rest of the movie. It's like, well, you're gonna get an hour and a half or however long of just this. It's like, I'm okay with
Yeah, this
that.
was a pretty short movie. This was
Yeah,
like an hour and 24 minutes, which I gotta say, there was at least, maybe a total of 5 minutes at least of like padding. The credits were kind of long, and before we even get to the end credits, which is filled with, like it cuts back and forth between credits and bloopers, before we even get to the credits, the movie's done. It's just showing a bunch of like unused shots, like, and I didn't understand why. Like, that could have been the credits, like, of like, putting the names with the right person, but it was just random shots where I'm like, what, why am I seeing this? Why? I don't remember. I don't think I saw this angle before. It was just so random, and I'm almost positive it was there for padding purposes. Just make the movie like maybe 2-3 minutes longer.
yeah, I totally get that, but I mean, it got to a point where it's like the story has clearly been told, so there's really not much else to do uh, at that point, if that makes any sense.
I mean, just roll the credits.
Yeah,
There was
um,
just no need for that. And I thought, like, the credits are already cutting back and forth between bloopers. Like, why do we need this random, like, just random shots of the characters? Like, I already saw the movie.
yeah. I mean, it is what it is, but I mean, for what it was, I thought the movie was very entertaining.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
It's definitely it is a horror, but it is a comedy. Like, it's not scary. It is gory.
I
Um,
mean, it's not that gory in my
it's just more
opinion.
like Santa kills people in very creative
Yeah,
ways.
I mean, for the most part, it's just a really juvenile movie, and it's like as juvenile as like watching like Beavis and Butthead. Like it's just a lot of like pretty immature jokes. Like some of them are like pretty funny. Like there's like it's like, oh, Grandpa got run over by a reindeer because
It's like,
uh
Santa, really?
yeah, like it's just like a lot of like holiday themed jokes like relating to the situation like that, and it's all around just a funny movie. And I love that the actor that they have playing Santa, Bill Goldberg, who's a former wrestler, it shows because he's like pretty much like doing all of his own stunts. It's not like a jump cut kind of thing with like a Friday the 13th or another slasher movie. where it's just like a gratuitous kill. Like all of his stuff, like this man is clearly having a blast doing this. He's like drop kicking people, he's like throwing them around, and you see like the whole thing. So I kind of like that there was like a little bit of authenticity to the movie in terms of like actually seeing Santa doing all of this rather
Yeah.
than it's like, oh, that's clearly a stunt double or like it's just a guy in a mask or something like that. It's like, no, you see his face the entire movie. That's all the same guy.
It's because yeah, because I mean it's Santa, so
Yeah.
to have a mask would have made not a ton of sense.
Well, I
But
mean, I'm just
no, I
using
know,
that
I
as an
know, I know
example,
you.
but
No, I know what you mean. But like that's what it worked to see his face the whole time because like oh, it's Santa, not the Santa you ever want to ever meet or deal with. But speaking of, let's talk about the cast for a second. So
yeah,
our main character is his name is Nick. Is it what is
Nick
his last name? I thought I heard people.
Nicholas Yulson.
I thought I couldn't tell if maybe I just for some reason thought it was Yulston or Yulstein, but it sounded like everybody was saying it differently. I don't know. But there's Nick. There's his friend. So it's Mary Mackenzie, but she goes by Mac, and she's into him, and
because
he
she's
is
a
just.
because she's a tomboy.
But he is just not getting it,
Yeah, it's
and
like yeah.
and then there's their boss. They work together at like a sandwich, like a butcher shop.
Yeah.
Their boss, who's the only Jewish guy in town, and then there's Nick's grandpa,
Yeah.
and there's the town pastor. This I will say this movie.
Pastor Timmons.
I will say the thing about this movie that I thought was kind of insane was almost everybody, not everybody, but almost everybody I have seen in something. This
Oh
is
yeah.
not it's like it's so weird. It's like a cast where it's like you might not be like know their name, but you've seen them. You've most likely seen them in something.
Yeah,
And I just thought that was hilarious.
I honestly really liked that. It was a variable like who's who in terms of like it's like I recognize that guy. It's like, oh, he's from like Warehouse 13. Like I've seen this guy in this comedy. I've seen this guy in this horror movie. It was just
I think the
everyone was
only
like
person I was not that familiar with was the guy that was Santa. I
uh
think everyone else I've seen in something.
I
Which
recognized him as like the main bodyguard from Looney Tunes Back in Action. He's
Wait,
like the
so he's
main
done other movies.
Yeah, he's done other stuff. But yeah,
Okay.
he's like the main like silent bodyguard who then at like near the end of the movie he like unzips his suit and he's like actually like the Tasmanian devil or something like that.
Huh.
I don't know. It's been
Okay.
a while since I've seen the
Yeah.
movie, but I do vividly
Yeah.
remember that he was in that, and I just looked that up.
Yeah. But yeah, I've seen so many people. So I was like, wait a minute, I know this person. Oh, this it's this guy. Oh, it's this guy. That's it was just funny to see.
Like
Um,
honestly, this movie would have been like a great drinking game of like I recognize that person, take a shot, or
yeah.
like
Oh yes, there are so many. Like this is definitely a movie that's it's trying. I don't want to say it's like trying to be bad. There are some. I only had a couple of like sort of issues, but I feel like for the most part, it's pretty fun for what it is. If anything, it was trying to be fun. It
yeah
wasn't
no
trying to
that
be. It was not. It was trying. It was not. No, nothing was taken that seriously.
yeah no like in like for the most part like this isn't like one of those like kind of movies like Birdemic or Sharknado where it's like trying to be a bad movie to kind of like take its spot in notoriety. Like this movie is like just doing what it wants to do for the sake of being fun, and it shows. Like everyone in this movie is having a blast in every scene that they're doing. Like from like the pastor who's basically just being like a sleazy like jerk and taking all the money that the church donated to go to a strip club. Uh,
Which I thought. Okay, the strip club. I realized later he drove to it, but because I think just the way the camera was and there were people or maybe he was right next to his truck, I don't know, I thought the strip club was right next to the church for some reason. I think it's because we saw like church letting out and then we saw him at the strip club, so I'm
yeah,
like, wait, are they right next to each other?
yeah, it was a weird editing. I
You
agree.
okay, you know what I mean though. Okay.
Yeah, no, I totally know what you mean. But it was actually really funny because the director, I think it was, they said that it was his grandfather or someone that he knew. owned a strip club called Gold Diggers, and that's why they named it that in the movie. And they didn't have any of the licensing rights or anything like that to play really anything on TV, so they just played a lot of footage from when the director was a demolition car driver. So they just played footage of that when like Mac and Nick are watching TV together. They're just watching the director driving around in a demolition derby.
Huh. Yeah, I saw like the director was like paying like homage to like people in his family, and like was there any, not character names, but like yeah, like I heard the strip club was one
Yeah,
of them.
yeah, there was that, and then there was also like the
There
Rankin
was something
Bass.
else.
There was also like the flashback scene that's like the stop motion claymation thing that was kind of like an homage to like the old Rankin
Oh,
Bass cartoons, because he grew up watching those.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and honestly, that was like a really I think that was like one of
That
my
was
favorite
creative.
scenes. Yeah.
That was a good. It was one of those. I was more just surprised because I realized, okay, this is probably a lot cheaper than having it live action, but I will appreciate that it's not just animated. It's like the stop motion like puppets that we, like Rudolph or
Frosty the Snowman. No, not
Jack
yeah.
Frost.
Yeah.
I was about to say Frosty. I'm like, no, wait, not
Yeah.
Frosty. Like I even if like I didn't necessarily grow up watching those, but I've seen those. Like it's like in the background. Like I've seen like bits and pieces, but I recognize that's what they were trying to do. Which I was like, that's actually.
You never watched those before?
I don't think I sat down and watched them. Like I've seen them. Like it would be on somewhere, but I don't think I like went out of my way to watch it.
I swear, I learn something new about you every day, and every time I
That's
get a
not
little bit more disappointed.
what. No, like I've seen them. Like I know what they are. It was not something I went out of my way to watch. It'd be like maybe it was just on, or I got a Christmas something and it was playing, and I watched it for a few minutes. Like it wasn't. I'm aware of it, and I would catch like pieces of it, but I didn't like go out of my way or sit down and watch
Okay.
it.
Okay.
But anyway, um, um, we just get into the plot of this movie. So,
Yeah, so the whole premise of this movie is that uh I believe 1,000 years ago, Santa lost a bet to an angel, where the bet indicated that if Santa won this like a curling contest, that he would get the angel's soul. But if the angel won, then the day of Christmas, which I guess like was originally like the Day of Terror, because in this universe Santa is the son of Satan. He's the only son of Satan. Uh, Instead of being like a day of terror, it's going to be a day of cheer, and he has to deliver gifts to children all over the world. And then the angel wins. Santa has to do all that, but now in 2005, 1,000 years over, and now he is on his murderous rampage and is slowly trying to find the angel who that did this to him. And he's found him in Hell Township, because the angel said he would have to go to hell and back to find me. So he just hid in Hell Township, which is I thought was really funny.
I thought that was funny, but I was like, what a name for a town. Like, not just Hell, but Hell's Township. Like, okay. But yeah, I will say this was something that did kind of. I feel like my biggest issues with this movie was that there were a lot of these tiny things that could have been explained, or they could have given a reason to, or something, and they just completely ignored it. Like, so we find out Nick, again, he's working at this butcher shop, and they're dealing with this like mean, like swearing, like old lady who's saying you're probably going to be as crazy as your grandpa. So we know, and we meet his grandpa, and he's kind of quirky. He doesn't kind of like come off to me as crazy,
I mean,
but
yeah, he kind of reminds me of Belle's dad from Beauty and
that's
the
what I
Beast.
was. Yes, I was like, he reminded me. He was like a mixture of like Maurice in Beauty and the Beast, and
Yeah,
there was someone else I was thinking of too. He reminded me. Yeah, he's like quirky. He's not like psycho, which is how I was like prepared. I was expecting him to be, but like his grandpa makes comments like, I've raised you, blah blah blah, and it's like, where are his parents? They never
yeah.
once say
It,
anything about them.
yeah, it's never explained about his parents, and I think his grandma was like mentioned like like once or twice in
Yes.
conversation, and like that was it.
When did she die? Like that stuff just isn't really ever explained. But the grandpa basically is explaining to him how Santa is, like the child of like Satan. Wait, he is Satan, or he's like a kid of
Yeah,
Satan?
yeah. Okay, so he basically like reads like this like old book, and it's written in German, which they both are. I guess I didn't know angels could be German. I guess so in this universe. So he's saying that in the history of the world, there have only been two immaculate births. The first being the Virgin Mary and their son Jesus, and Satan and the Virgin Erica and their son Satan. And as soon as he said that, it reminded me of the John Mulaney joke of like how everyone in the Bible has like really weird names, but their
Oh
wives just have
yeah,
normal names, like Josiah and his wife Betty.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but he's reading it, and Nick is just like, "This is dumb and ridiculous, and you're losing it, Grandpa." And then later, he looks through it on his own, and that's when we get the like puppet like animation of the curling match and all that. And then he, I guess, suddenly just believes it, and then goes on this like what is it called? The GoAd, like the Santa site, like the Santa
Oh yeah,
tracking
oh
site.
yeah.
And I
So
was like,
so so it's originally the site. It's a spoof on like the NORAD tracking system, which came out like I think like a year or two before the movie. As just kind of like a funny thing that like like that kids can like, oh, we're gonna track Santa because NASA is like letting us do this, but in the movie they call it GoNAD, and I forgot what the actual abbreviation is, but I thought that was a funny kind of play on words. It's
but
hey,
yeah,
they said
yeah.
gonads.
But he just like seems to accept this pretty quick, and then the next day he like so his boss is at work, and Santa kills him with a menorah.
Yeah,
And
he stabs him. He impales him to a wall, like a couple feet off the air through the throat, and stick. Yeah, like I thought that was actually a creative kill.
it was a creative kill, but then when like Nick shows up, he tries to pull the menorah out, and like thinking for and for a second his boss is like still alive. And then I'm like, he's trying to pull the menorah out. I'm like, one, what is that gonna do? Two, you're tampering with a crime scene. And then the police come, and I thought they were gonna like he was gonna be like questioned for it,
Yeah,
like because he's right in the middle of the crime and he's got his hands all over the body. And then they nope, they got to make some because the boss is Jewish. They got to make some Jewish jokes,
murder
like
jokes.
something doesn't seem kosher here. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
Well, yeah, they because clearly this is CSI Miami. We
And
have to make
then
a funny
yeah,
quip about this very tragic event.
so then he gets taken to the but then I guess there were witnesses that said they saw Santa like just walk right out of the store like right before the kid showed up. And
Yeah,
then
like yeah,
they
like yeah.
yeah,
There was like witnesses that said that. It's just like clearly. So he immediately goes like, Santa must have done this. So they take him to the police to question him, and of course the chief, whose name is like I forget his first name, but his last name is Kalk, but it's pronounced cock, but it's spelt like Caulk. So like as soon as like I saw that, it's like, oh, we're gonna get a lot of cock jokes, aren't we? And we do. We get quite a few cock jokes. It's like,
yeah.
man, that guy sucks. Who, cock?
Oh, but then also there's like, isn't there like another like the captain, or there's another person there that's named Bush, and one's like, I've only ever worked for Cock. You're not a fan of Bush? Not saying I'm not a fan of Bush, but I like Cock more. And it's like, oh my god.
Oh, and then there's like another like cop there that is like keeping track of like all like the mysterious like murders and deaths. It's like, huh, it kind of looks like a Christmas tree, doesn't it? Because he's like putting
Yeah,
like flags
I think
around.
that
It's
was
like
funny.
it's like really.
But then, actually, before that, so the night before our first like uh I guess our first intro was that our first introduction to Santa? No, but like Santa kills the like mean like old lady.
Yeah, he just like
and
runs her off the road.
and then
Yeah, but
then
after he says, "Move, bitch, get out of the way."
and oh, we actually skipped a scene that I know you actually have a fun fact about. The pastor is doing his like Christmas Eve mass, and he's
Oh
basically
yeah,
doing this whole speech about, everyone's putting money in for collection. He's like, no, give them bills, not coins, and it's so he
yeah, it's
can
like
use it for a strip club.
yeah, and then he goes to the strip club and it's like he goes to the strip club on Christmas Eve in a very small town where he is the known pastor there, which kind of blew my mind that he even decided to do that, not go to like a town over so like no one knows who he is.
This is
He
a
goes
weird,
there. The
yeah. This was a
Yeah,
weird small town because it seemed to be one of those small towns that's like everybody knows each other, yet it's really small and really big. It has a bunch of stuff, but it's also nope. It's still a small town. It's not a city, and yeah, he goes and he's the only person in the strip club, or not the only person, but the only like
yeah,
known person in the strip club.
yeah, he's like the only customer there. Like he
Which
even goes to like yeah, he even talks to like bouncers like how is it in there? It's like real dead Christmas Eve. You'll be getting a lot of attention at night. And it's like he knows he's the pastor too, which I thought was hilarious.
and he called just before he was like on the phone with his wife saying like I'll be back, I'll be home soon, honey, and it goes into a strip club, and I'm just thinking going to a strip club on Christmas sounds so sad. That is so horrifyingly sad. And then it gets even more sad because then Santa shows up and
Yeah, first he gives like his keys to his sleigh to like a valet to go park it, and then when he leaves and comes back, the his hell deer, which is just a bison that they dyed like white,
yeah.
ate the valet, and on his way in, he kills a bouncer. Uh, I'm trying to go scene for scene. I actually wrote notes for this.
Oh.
uh, so he goes in. He like is like ho ho ho's, and he's like talking to like one of the like cocktail waitresses that walks in front of him. Kisses her because like, hey, we're under the mistletoe, and that gets the attention of like the other bouncers, and he like promptly like takes them out like no problem, and that causes like everyone to kind of like freak out. It's like, oh, what the hell's going on? He kills like the other two patrons. The pastor kind of like sneaks out, and while he's like fighting the bouncers, he like jumps onto like there's like a stripper like doing like this like trapeze act. Like I don't even know what's going on in this strip club. Like on like some like swinging bars like on the stage, and in doing so, he basically like puts his head between her legs. So, and the fun fact that I have that you mentioned that I had was that actress had a stunt double, and the stunt double was the one that we see in that scene that is like swaying on the bars with like Santa like on there. Um, those two hit it off really well that they actually got married shortly after filming the movie.
That was when I saw that scene, I was just like, what what the hell, Santa? And
Yeah.
then God, that was just the whole scene was just so like it was so absurd, but it was kind of funny because it's just like Santa's just completely like I don't know, he's creating so much destruction in this strip club. And of course, because of this movie, because of the type of movie it is, all of the women are completely topless.
Well,
Like,
yeah, it's a strip club.
yeah, no, I know, but
What
like,
did you expect? Them reading Bibles?
no, but like, I think maybe one was wearing like bikini top. They were all just topless, and which I was like, okay, yeah, it's a strip club, and but then like, there was one part that I did find funny where he, when he's by the front and all of the strippers are like against the wall and their heads are just peeking peeking out
Yeah,
like it's a
it was.
cartoon and they're all stacked on top of
Yeah.
each other, and then he
Oh,
starts a fire and
yeah. And before that, one of my favorite scenes is like he's about to like take like rip like one of the stripper poles out and use that as like a weapon.
oh
Before he touches it, he like is like about to grab it and he goes like, ugh, and then he pulls out like Windex or something and like sprays it and cleans it off, and then swings it around and uses it as a weapon.
Yeah, that was. I saw that and I was like, wait, is he cleaning it? I mean, I understand why he would clean it, but I thought that was just such a like nice little like. I'm wondering like, was that in the script or was that decided on like that day, or was he just like, hey, I have this idea. Mind if I clean the strip club because it's gross? And they're like, just probably went with it. But I thought that was a really nice touch. Um,
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious.
yeah, and then oh, so we didn't actually talk. Mac goes over to Nick's house. And again, we said, she's into him. He is just not picking up on it. And
Yeah,
she
yeah.
gives him.
Well, on their way back, like she gives him like a lift home, or yeah, she gives him a lift home, and on the ride there, he's just kind of like complaining about Christmas because his grandpa doesn't really celebrate it because spoiler alert, he's the angel that tricked Santa, so he doesn't really celebrate it because he's like really paranoid about being found by Santa. So that's why they never really celebrate it. And he says like, "Oh yeah, like I never really got anything for Christmas, and like I always wanted like like Castle Grayskull or like Transformers or something." So when later on, she comes and gives him like a present for Christmas, like you never had a real present, so here you go. He opens it up and it's a gun, and it's like, and the first thing he says is like, not to sound ungrateful, but what are you fucking retarded? It's like, wow, okay, I didn't know we could say that. And then
But he says, "You got me a gun," and she's got this look on her face like, "Do you like it?" And I'm like, okay, before I was on you, I was with you. He's not picking up on it, but now you're coming off as like a psycho. And then it turns out like it's not actually a gun. It's like, uh,
it's a knockoff Transformer, and I thought it was really funny
oh, okay.
because I saw like this really funny review. It's like, this woman just got you a knockoff Transformer within an hour on Christmas Eve. Marry this woman now.
Oh yeah. Oh, was that the Good Bad Flicks?
Yes.
Yeah, I was watching that. I don't think I finished it. Um, but yeah, when I saw, and I don't think I realized that that was a transformer for a second, just because.
I mean, it was just like well, it's that's the thing. It's not. It's like some like
Yeah, but the
like
type,
toy that
yeah.
just like that basically just has like a similar
I
thing.
thought it was gonna come back though and be like relevant to the story later. Other than Santa, when Santa finds them and he sees it, he's like, because apparently it was Mac's dad's, and she just like he doesn't use it anymore. She just took it and wrapped it and gave it to Nick. Santa finds it. He's like, I gave this to so and so Mackenzie. I don't know, whatever, however many years ago. It's like, wow, he's still he. I love how he, despite all the murdering, he still is like a that's like a very kind of classic Santa trope of he remembers every gift he ever gave, and I'm like, so he still remembers all these things, but he's uh like I don't even know. Murderer
He's
is a
still an
little too,
asshole.
yeah. Murderer is too like obvious of a word. Um, but yeah. Anyway, so later, yeah. So Mac picks him up from the police station after he's being questioned, and then he gets pulled over by a cop, and they see it's Santa, and they're like, I guess Mac just has a gun in her car that was her
Yeah, it's later
dad's.
explained that like it's later explained that her dad's just like a huge gun nut, so he just pulls out a shotgun and shoots Santa, and then it's like, oh my god, you shot Santa, and then they go back to Nick's house, and he says that to his grandpa, who just happens to have like a secret bunker underneath their house that to monitor like the entire house and like stay safe. And it's like, oh my god, you shot Santa. Oh, he's not gonna like that. And just his delivery of that just seemed like so um like a parent like playing like make believe with their kids, like, oh, he's not gonna like that kind of like response. And I just thought that was like really funny. It's like that is how a grandpa would respond to a silly statement like that. It's like, you shot Santa. Oh, he's not gonna like that.
Yeah, this was just it. There are no words for so many things about this movie. Um, but like yeah, they end up hiding out with the grandpa, and then okay, yeah, then we get to they escape, and his sleigh runs over the grandpa, and oh, grandpa got run over by a reindeer, and then we get like again it's a very 90s 2000-esque, like they're on a snowmobile and like being chased by like Santa, and his like sorry, what was it called again? It's not a the thing pulling a sleigh. What was it again?
It was a bison, but he calls it a
Hell
hell
deer.
deer.
Uh,
Yeah, and a fun fact about that is there's several scenes in the movie where like you see Santa like quote unquote like flying around in his sleigh. So they had to create a special harness in order to lift the bison up to kind of give it the look that it's flying around. But they could only really do that for 30 seconds before the thing was like freaking out. And this thing weighs like 1,200 pounds. Like this is a heavy animal, so they had to take uh like as many shots and as many angles of this thing as they're flying and recycle it throughout the movie. So if there's a couple times where we see um similar like angles and shots of like Santa or like the reindeer like quote unquote reindeer doing the same things while they're flying is because they only had like X amount of like minutes and seconds to work with of them flying.
yeah, I saw that too, and I was just like, I was more just surprised. I'm like, how? Because they wanted to use animatronic, that was not going to work or too expensive, and I'm like, this is cheaper to
I
to
well originally they wanted to go animatronic, but
yeah.
that the concept art that they had for that they had very much like demonic looking reindeer. It kind of looked something uh like oh god, I'm trying to think of a word to describe it. It was like a normal looking reindeer, but it had like a lot more like feral, like fanged teeth, like almost like a saber-toothed tiger. And it had extremely sharp antlers, and they were basically going to have like I think they said that they were going to have a couple scenes showcasing like the reindeer like impaling multiple people with them, and I think they were going to have more than one, like a full sleigh ride of reindeer, but they ended up sticking with the one hell deer and use a bison instead. Which I honestly kind of liked that.
Yeah, no, and that's like it was just it was just funny when I was like, oh, that was a real bison. Okay, yeah, like it's a lot of things in this are practical. Um, and practical is always better. It holds up, and they used a
Yeah.
real bison, and obviously that will always hold up because it's a real bison. Um, um, but the bison's like trying to ram them, and then Mac punches it in the face, and then they're able to like get away. And then I just more thought I was so confused though, like okay, yeah, it made sense once we found out that Grandpa was the angel because he shows up again as an angel. But I was just
Yeah.
like, why is he so determined to kill Nick and Mac? Like he has a town full of people he can kill very
Well,
easily,
I think he
and
wanted. I think he specifically wanted to kill Nick because he was a descendant of an angel. So it's like, oh, I need it. Like it's kind of the rule of thumb is that you kill all living descendants of your
I
mortal
mean
enemy
that
because
kind of
if they survive, they're gonna want
yeah, no, but
revenge.
at the time I'm like, why is he wasting his time? Like, okay, he's gonna probably run into them eventually. Why not go kill other people? That's what I just didn't, because I'm like, it kind of almost reminded me of like for a minute of like 30 Days of Night of he's just all of his like kills are within the vicinity of this town, but like
Yeah.
he has so they find out uh Christmas for him ends at 7 p.m. because it'll be midnight at the North Pole at 7 p.m. Where they are. And then
Yeah.
there is this whole thing, and the whole time they're just like, we gotta make it to 7, we gotta make it to 7. And then they make it to 7, and Grandpa Angel is like, there's kind of like, they didn't defeat him, he's still alive. And they're like, he's like, no, he doesn't have powers now. And I was just kind of thinking, like, why? I wouldn't it have made more sense for them not to know that, and then maybe the grandpa tells them as an angel? Because it just kind of seemed stupid to me that they're like, we got to make it to 7, we got to make it to 7. Then they make it to 7, and Santa's still around, and they're still struggling to defeat him. And then,
Yeah,
like,
it was very unclear on like the rules of that because it was established like very late in the movie, and it kind of seemed like they were like it seemed like they were second guessing themselves as they were saying it too. So that's part of the movie that was kind of unclear to me. But it doesn't like subtract from the movie because it just like the whole time they're running from Santa, like they're like running from him on like snowmobiles and basically hitting every ramp and jump in town. Like I swear to God, they hit like 10 ramps throughout this town. It's like, is your town like secretly like a Tony Hawk like skateboard park, like something like that? Like
it
I'm
is in the
so
summer.
like, what the hell's going on?
Um,
um, yeah, and on their way from like escaping him, they like pass by like a bunch of hunters like skeet shooting.
Oh, and we meet Mac's
Because
dad, who she's been talking about the whole movie, but we also meet her brother, who I don't think she ever once mentioned. And I'm like, wait, she has a brother? Was that ever mentioned?
uh no, like she just mentioned her dad like I think once or twice.
Yeah, like the dad, like I knew she had a dad. Like that was established enough, but when I was like, I don't know, it got clear that she had a brother, I'm like, wait, what? And we're finding this out in the last like 15 minutes of the movie? Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's not like her brother was like an important character in like really
No,
any
it
regard.
just seemed he might as there was no reason for him to even be her brother. It could have just been like he could have just been a guy. Like it just seemed weird to make him her brother when there was never any mention of him throughout the movie. It was unnecessary. Like it doesn't change anything. But yeah, like they're
Fair enough.
all these hunters, and they're like, "Hey, why don't you want to kill a flying bison?" And they see Santa coming, and they just unload, and then bits of Santa are just raining down on them.
Well, no, before that, Mac's dad hits it with the rocket
Oh,
launcher
yeah, yeah,
and blows it up. But when they recover Santa's body, it's the pastor dressed up as Santa, and we see the actual Santa walking around in an airport, like buying a ticket to the North Pole. And it's like, do you have any luggage to declare? And he just puts a sack on the desk and it's like, okay, that'll be gate 16, Mr. Satan. It's pronounced Shatan. It's like, what the fuck is going
but I was like,
on?
what are they trying to accomplish? Yes, they're trying to survive the night, but are they trying to like make so like when Angel Grandpa shows up again, they do another curling match, and but I'm just like at the
Yeah.
end, I'm like, okay, is he back to killing next Christmas, or is he like done?
I no, like no, I think he says like double or nothing, or like like some basically like some kind of like deal like that to like reset like the 1,000 years. But Santa like immediately goes back on his word, cheats, and tries to throw uh uh Angel Grandpa into a pit to hell, and like Nick saves him at like the last minute. But it was it was just kind of funny because like by that point like Christmas is over and Santa's leaving, but he like tries to do like one more like pass on them, and that just backfires on him immediately because his reindeer gets killed, his sled's destroyed, but like he like leaves the pastor's body because he like runs into like a parade and like the pastor like ended up like in his sleigh accidentally, and he just like punched him and knocked him out, and he just like I guess he just forgot to
Yeah.
throw his body out. So like all the hunters just essentially just killed the
Okay, because
pastor.
I didn't realize though that's how. So yeah, the pastor. So earlier in the movie, Santa, like Mac and Nick are on like the snowmobile and are like driving through town, going, "Everybody, like run, like get out of here!" And they're all like, "What?" And then they see Santa, and they're all running, and the pastor dressed as Santa runs and pushes some women out of the way, going, "Move, you skanks!" And then he ends up I don't remember how, but he ends up in Santa's sleigh. Like he slips and like lands in the sleigh, and then he's just there the rest of the movie. And
Yeah.
Santa like punches him to like knock him out, but I'm like, why not? Why don't you just kill him? Why? But anyway, he has him hanging around the rest of the movie until I guess the end, where I didn't realize that that's what happened. I thought like,
Yeah, like everyone, like all the hunters think that like the pastor was the one killing all the people, but like Nick and Mac know the truth, but like no one's gonna believe like no, it was the real Santa. It's like no, I'm gonna believe like the pastor just flipped his lid
so
and tried
was
to
it
kill everyone.
pieces of like the bison that were hitting him then?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
okay,
pieces of the bison.
okay.
Yeah,
Um, and I was just thinking, like, where's
yeah,
is Nick gonna
and
just? I mean, his grandpa's. I mean, yes, an angel, but is he just coming back, or is he like, where's he going now?
yeah, yeah. I had several questions as well, and I don't think any of that was ever actually
No,
explained.
no, not at all.
But I mean, the movie was this was just a really fun
This,
movie.
yeah,
I would definitely recommend it as like this definitely fall like it's definitely a Christmas movie because it takes place on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. It definitely has like those like vibes of like like oh we need to like come together as like a family on Christmas and like this is what's important. We need to appreciate what we have and like like pretty much like everyone in the movie that is being like killed by Santa or like being directly punished by him show in some way or another that they are
no,
not the best people. Like he's killing like a bunch of streepers. He like uh beats the crap out of like the pastor who took a bunch of like money from the church to go to a strip club. He kills like that horrible family. We see at one point in a movie on Christmas Day a couple of kids open up like they're like about to open up their Christmas gifts and like they're going like hey mom, like can we open up our motherfucking gifts now? It's like, oh yeah, sure, honey. It's like, oh yeah, like I wonder what Santa got you. It's like, oh, I hope it's not some like stupid shit this time. And the gifts explode and their heads are just gone.
and the grandma is just like, fuck. Cut to next scene, and I'm like, what?
It was just a random, like completely out of context scene that could have literally been stitched in anywhere in the movie, and I was all
But
for
yeah,
it.
yeah, it that was really fun. This is a really fun movie. It's not like it's not your standard horror. It's not like it's not even like I mean, duh, it's not like your standard Christmas movie, but it's not even like your standard like bad movie. Like this is like a truly fun movie. Like you will. I
Yeah.
mean, most. I'm assuming there's some people that won't like it. I mean, I had fun watching it. It's pretty short. We talked about this. Like it's about an hour. It's like a little less than an
Yeah.
hour and a half.
Yeah, it's like an hour 15 or something like
This
that.
is definitely a movie I would recommend like watching with like a group of people around the holidays.
This is definitely like a fun movie to just get drunk and watching.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a drinking game, and I don't know. I agree. This is definitely a get drunk and watch or get high and watch. This is definitely a be with a group of people and watch and laugh because you're definitely gonna
This,
laugh.
this yeah, this movie is definitely best enjoyed with company.
So for sure. So the big question, Kevin, is this real? Is Santa sleigh real? Is it
Yes, because Santa is real.
okay?
I'm just leaving it at that. Santa is real. This is happening.
See, it's funny because when almost every time we do this, usually I'm like torn. Like I'm like, this could be real. This could not. I don't think that's realistic. I think that's kind of realistic. And I think I wasn't even halfway through the movie, and I was just like, this is not real at all. And my biggest
Yeah,
reason
it
why I say that is because there's no way that Nick would have just so quickly accepted the fact that, oh, this book is real and that Santa is evil without any like reading that book is not like evidence. Like
books never lie.
I'm not saying that's not that can't be your only evidence that Santa's real and it's a thousand
What do you got
years.
to hold? Why? What do you got against books,
I
Sam?
don't have anything against books, but
Well, clearly you got some kind of prejudice against
Okay.
books. Why?
Okay, forget the
Okay.
book. We're focusing too much on the book aspect. Like, it didn't make sense to me that he would just. His grandpa's reading it to him, and he's like, "You're crazy, grandpa." And then when he reads it on his own, he's like, "This has to be real." And I'm like, "Why is this suddenly? Why do you suddenly believe this just because you're reading it?" That's to me that that was the one thing that I'm like, I don't buy. I mean, I don't. I mean, I didn't really. I mean, all of it was not. Not you don't really buy any of it, but it's like it's all like. I mean, I guess it's all in a sense logical, but I definitely have to say this is not a real movie. This is not real.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same boat. I just wanted to do
When you
it
said
while I
that, I'm like,
still
really?
could.
I'm like, oh boy, the one time this.
Yeah, it's like what? What? You're gonna tell me Santa isn't real?
I remember in elementary school, I believed in Santa.
I thought you were about
No,
to say
in
it.
I believed in Santa way too long because my parents, I guess, we got a letter in the mail from Santa when I was like maybe 7 or 8,
What?
and he was saying how he had seen us recently when we were in Hawaii or something, and I was like, oh my god! So because of that, I believed
That's
in
super
Santa
creepy.
for a long time, and then I remember I was in 5th grade, and people were like, "Do you believe in the Tooth Fairy?" And I'm like, Psh, "No," and they're like, "Do you believe in Santa?" And I just like didn't say anything, and they're like, "You still believe in Santa?" It's like I got a letter.
Hell
And
yeah.
then I think like I was starting to, I don't think he's real. And then I think like I came down, I already pretty much knew, but I came down and I'm like, my parents didn't even bother to stuff their own stockings. I don't think Santa's real.
Something fishy's going on here.
um, yeah, I don't, I think at the time I was watching this, I was just like texting you, like, is this a real movie? Like, I was at a loss for words. Like, um,
that,
and I was texting you. I
uh,
was sending you a bunch of texts, and then you said to me, "I'm at a wedding. I can't talk right now." And I'm glad you said
yeah,
something
you were
because I
saying.
was gonna keep sending you texts.
I was literally in the middle of a wedding reception when you sent that. Like, I had just got my food, sat down, had the whole ceremony. I was at my cousin's wedding, by the way. Um, Hi, Michael, if you're listening to this. Hope you're having a fun time. Tell Swati I said hi. It was. Yeah, it was a lovely ceremony. But it was just really funny. I just sat down, got my food, and I just keep hearing my phone just going like, brr, brr, brr. And based on how many texts and how fast I was getting them, I thought someone was saying something in the group chat
Oh,
that I was in. Because, like, you sent like 3 texts within the span of a minute, all talking about the opening scene, just like, the dog,
let me see if I
no!
can find. It's kind of
Oh, it was so
I.
funny. And
Oh,
like
okay.
I know yeah, like I had to send you that, but at the same time, it's like I really want to hear her reaction throughout the rest of this movie, but like I'm at a wedding, like I can't. I don't want to be that
Just
asshole.
turn your phone off and read them later. It was like I was live tweeting. I just sent you the first one was this looks like the Home Alone house, and then I'm like, is this movie real? What the hell is this cast? And then I'm not even 2 minutes into this movie, and I'm what the fuck? And then the dog when like Santa like what did he do to the dog?
He punted it
Jumping.
into the ceiling fan and then launched it back into the chimney where he was just standing and broke several bricks.
Yeah, I had no words, particularly in the beginning, but then you kind of get used to all of the you get used to all of the absurdity of everything.
Yeah,
So
it was
uh,
fantastic.
I definitely recommend it. Like we said, watch it with. I recommend watching it with people. You know, I can't. I that would be really
Yeah,
fun. Like it was. It had. I had kind of had fun, but I would think I would have way more fun watching it with other people.
yeah, 100%. Like this movie was like made to be like riffed on. Like this movie was straight up made with a thought of like mystery science theater or riff tracks or something. Like this movie was just like meant to have some kind of live commentary to it, and I am
Yeah,
all for it.
yeah, for sure.
Uh, so yeah. So that being said, Sam, where can these lovely people find us? I know I said that in the beginning, but why don't you kind of
In
give them a
case you
reminder?
forgot, we're pretty much wherever you can find podcasts. Apple, uh, Google, Stitcher, Spotify. We're also on YouTube. I believe we're caught up on YouTube.
I believe so as well.
Yeah,
But if not,
then we'll
then
get to work.
we might be by the time this episode comes back. I don't know.
And yeah, and please follow, like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, and yeah, keep listening. We're gonna do we're doing
Some
some
more
horror-esque,
non-traditional Christmas movies
which
for
I
you.
will say the next couple are, yeah, they're non in like a large sense. They're not a traditional Christmas movie, yet they are definitely people's, like, traditional. They are someone's tradition. Like, people watch these at Christmas. I don't Santa Sleigh. I'm sure
Yeah,
somebody watches this other than you, Kevin, that watches this every Christmas.
I've only started watching this like maybe like 2 years
Oh,
ago.
okay.
Like I literally found out about this somewhat recently.
Oh, okay.
How dare you just assume?
I thought you were going to say you haven't seen this in a couple of years. As soon as I said that, I'm like, oh, you haven't watched this in a couple of years. And then,
No, like it's been a couple years since I found out about it.
It's only been your life for a few years. Yeah.
Something like that. All right. So on that note, I'm Kevin Tracy.
I'm Samantha Tomlinson.
And you've been listening to Movie Reel. Happy holiday, folks, and stay safe out there. Or else Santa's going to get you.
Oh, yeah. Maybe don't go to strip clubs on Christmas.
I think that's just a general rule of thumb, regardless of a murder Santa.
Yeah, I think that's how I meant it.